Good afternoon, everyone. As the General Secretary of Biofootprint, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for the first Biofootprints Award ceremony. And we are fortunate and blessed to have Padma Shri Professor Randeep Guleria as our chief guest, who is also the patron of our society. Sir, you are one of the most respected luminaries in the history of medicine in the world, and I take this opportunity to thank you for your continued support and guidance to the Biofootprints. And now may I request Jia and Anamika to please welcome Professor Guleria with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you. Now may I request Professor Sujata Sharma, who is the founding president of Biofootprints, to deliver her address on Biofootprints, the journey so far. Please. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody is looking very formal, so I request you all to relax a bit. Biofootprints is essentially a very, very informal platform, and we have gathered over here to give awards to 4 very, very able scientists. So I will get started with how we got started with Biofootprints. A lot of people say that Biofootprints is not like your usual society, because usual scientific societies are all about just disseminating very technical knowledge in a very super specialized field. And if I may say so, there is a lot of elitism, and our society is totally opposite of that. The aims and objectives of this society are science popularization in society, bridging gap between basic and translational science, connecting students with mentors, and of course philanthropic activities. And as you can see, the faces down there, that's the basic theme, and our patron, Professor Randeep Guleria. So you must have heard this this phrase many times, science popularization. So the question is, why is science not popular? There is a story, it's a kind of a funny story, a story which I'm not very proud of. But the story is this, that when I had got the President's Award back in 2008, I was called for a TV program. And over there, a lot of, the anchor asked me, why is it that students don't like to take science? And I had told them very frankly, very honestly, that science is perceived as very boring. And to my horror, the headline that came in the next, in the next day newspaper was, Vigyan Ubau hai Dr. Sujata Sharma. It was extremely embarrassing for me, but it was misconstrued. What I meant to say was, what I'm going to speak in these slides. Are the slides moving on their own? Okay. Yeah. So why science not popular? Why is there such a need to popularize science? Because, that's the mandate of the current government also, science promotion, science popularization. The reason is because of the way science is presented in schools. I can see school children here. I'm so happy to see them. So what happens is that science is presented as a rigid body of text, hard cold facts that cannot be questioned, and the perception is that you need sophisticated instruments and labs to do science. That scares a lot of students. Now the question is that is the way science taught to students the same as science actually is? Now that I have done science over almost 3 decades, I know that that is not the way science is. Because science is not rigid, science is not fixed, it's constantly changing, it's dynamic. Not all science needs labs or technology. Science is not just something that is done in institutes, within laboratories with great funding. Science can also be done by a layperson. Science is a way of life. It's a culture. Science is not a profession. And science, most importantly, needs imagination, storytelling, and questioning, which I'm sure this is something that is hard to believe. That does science actually need imagination? Because it's perceived that students who like imagination, students who like to, write stories or probably read stories, they automatically get attracted towards humanities. And that is so sad because we miss out on such brilliant students who can make beautiful stories out of science. We completely lose them out because of this particular perception. So there is a need to popularize science, and it has to be done in the right way without any preconceived bias. In December 2019, everybody knows SARS-CoV-2 came and COVID-19 came about, and that completely changed the way society and also policymakers and even scientists and doctors look at science. Don't want to get into total cases and deaths. And then we saw a phenomenon. What we saw was, of course, COVID-19. That was something that had never happened before. It was a pandemic. Our lives were stalled, etc., what have you. But what we also saw was that the director of the Premier Institute of India and I would say Asia, all over the world, he came to talk about science to society. No, he did not talk about receptors, he did not talk about mRNA, though he talked about that as well later on. But at that time, he came to talk to society about how to understand the virus, how to understand the disease, not to panic, how to deal with it. These are, various snapshots that I have taken from the various news reports. And of course, the famous vaccination picture I've put right in the center. That was a time when there was huge vaccine hesitancies. And if I may say so, even I was worried because I was having an autoimmune problem and I was very worried. Should I take the vaccine? And this picture taken on 16 January 2021, this was enough. You don't need to write reams and reams of why you should not be hesitant. This one picture that the director of AIMS is sitting there and taking the vaccine in front of everybody was enough to take the doubts away from everybody's mind and come forward. So this picture, I would say, is an epitome of science popularization, science promotion. I see so many programs being done by DST, DBT, so many agencies, and so much is going on in that. But I feel sometimes all you need is a picture. All you need is simply courage by an individual, which transmits into passion amongst everybody to understand and to come forward and to also further disseminate and propagate science. So in those days, I was extremely inspired and motivated by Professor Randeep Guleria, and I'd started writing my books before that. But in those days, I got extremely motivated to take this forward. I'd written my first book and I thought, I'm not going to write more, but it just went on because I got so passionate about science promotion. Because, I've always had this streak of writing. I love to write. I love to imagine things. And this was something because of which I used to think I would probably go into humanities, but it took a lot of persuasion from my parents. Should I say more than persuasion, which I won't go into right now. And I was told to take up science, and suddenly I was finding this wonderful opportunity to actually imagine, read, write, and make science a story, a beautiful story, a story like a fairy tale, basically, which is so different from when you imagine what science would be. And I also started my channel, Science Popularization by Professor Sujata Sharma, in which I at random started talking about science. I got a lot of subscribers. I was very encouraged to see how eager people are to actually absorb the so-called cold scientific facts when you explain to them in such a way that imagine COVID vaccine to be like a football goalkeeper or something like Gagan would say, because I heard Gagan speaking and I was so happy because he just talks about things like this. If you're watching a movie and if you're watching an Ajay Devgan movie and imagine that virus is like that, and so it's wonderful, it's very interesting. So back then, I think in the department only me and Pradeep used to come, and we used to sit together and mostly lament about what we have become, because our team was not able to join us. And then we decided, let's start a society, and let's get some like-minded individuals, because many people we approached and they were like, what is this about? And when they heard about our goals, they kind of avoided us. So they had their preconceived notions. They wanted to only talk about what their lab experiments generated, and they wanted to talk about that only to people who were exactly like them in their designation, etc. They did not want to talk to a lay person. So but we managed to find a team, many of them who are here, and we managed to find people from different states. Dr. Damandeep Singh, he's also a graduate of AIMS from Chandigarh. Of course, Dr. Pradeep Sharma, Haryana, though he works here. And Jia, Uttarakhand, she also works in AIMS. Me, Sonika Bhatnagar, Naval, and Akshita from Delhi. And Dr. Amit Singh from Uttar Pradesh. And Dr. Sanket Kaushik, who's also, he did PhD in our lab, and he's now in Amity, Jaipur. So he was from Rajasthan. And Dr. Rishi Jain from Mumbai, Maharashtra, and Dr. Vishwanath, who's right here from Tamil Nadu. All of these people, to make a national society, you need people representing from 7 states, and we managed to get that. We got the society registered, which was easier said than done, thanks to Pradeep. Ran around a lot, running after lawyers and all. And then, of course, I was extremely motivated by Dr. Guleria, and I asked him if he could become the patron of our society, which he very, very thankfully he agreed. And this was the message that he gave. This was the YouTube channel that I started, because since I had my own YouTube channel, I knew exactly how to go about it. And that is when we started a lot of activities, because of so many variants which kept coming. We were not able to do a lot of offline activities, but we did online activities. Like we did essay competition for children, age group 10 to 12 and 13 to 15, in which, we wanted to ask the children what their life was in the COVID pandemic, because I felt nobody was really talking to children. What were they feeling? Because they had no idea. They were suddenly told to sit at home, not to attend school, not to meet their friends. So I didn't even know that we were going to get any kind of response. It was purely online. We sent to all the schools possible, and all the NGOs possible. And we found a lot of response. And this was, we had awarded to 5 children. 3 of them were from Delhi. They came to take the awards. And this was known as BioFootprints Little Shakespeare Awards. Shakespeare, because we wanted to combine literature with science, as I had said initially. And the best part was that there was an NGO near Bangalore, which was known as Bale Mane. It works to empower disadvantaged girls only by providing a home education and holistic development. These girls, I think something like 10 girls from that NGO participated, and we were so delighted. And 2 of them got awards. And of course, we couldn't go there and they couldn't come here. So the person who's running this NGO gave these girls an award. And these certificates were signed by our patron, Dr. Galera. And then this was a time when I started approaching people. Now, I want to tell you that BioFootprints is not just about promotion of science in the society. There was one more very, very, what shall I say, pressing need I felt as a scientist, as a doctor. I have all my life that I have worked very hard on science. I realized that there is no platform where I can talk about my work in a very unbiased fashion. I have to sit and wait for the scientific mafia to discover me. They have to, somebody's got to talk about me to somebody else, and then to somebody else. Either I get this lucky or I don't get an opportunity. So I just sit and wait with some of the best results. Like once I had applied in ASCA, that's Asian Crystallographic Association conference in Hong Kong. I was given the platform right away in the first session, just looking at my work. But in India, I was unable to find that platform, because you got to know the right people, etc. So BioFootprints is also for this. We have put out this message. If you want to talk about your work, just approach us. No questions asked. We just send us an abstract of your work, and everybody who approached or everybody whom I approached came over and delivered excellent talks. And this was purely done on the basis of society. We did not take help of anybody else. And it was so rewarding to see people coming and talking about their work without worrying about who knows whom. So we did BioIgnite was the title. It was 2-day lecture workshop in biotechnology for beginners. We approached the school students. This was done in Amity University, Jaipur, to present and exchange ideas. The idea is to sensitize students for science. People are, when I was a student, we used to have something like 10, 11 science sections in Delhi Public School, and I came to know that they've reduced. And that is worrying, that why aren't people taking science? Though nothing against the people who are not taking science, they're definitely doing other fields which are equally important, but we need good students to take up science, not to feel frightened. So these are just some of the pictures in Amity, Jaipur. Students were called over, they were made to do hands-on experiments. They were, made interested. Then we did this in NSUT. Dr. Sonika Bhatnagar organized International Symposium on Biotechnology. She also organized the Bio Entrepreneur competition, reaching out to the young students so that they participate in this. Then, of course, I wrote Kovi's Promise and Tumhara Bholu, which was mainly for small children, because children, like I said before, that they are the unlikely heroes of the COVID pandemic. They have suffered a lot. They have literally sacrificed their childhood. And this was my homage to the children so that they could read it and they could understand what is virus, what is vaccine, why is vaccination important. It is written in such a way that children would love it. It's like a fantasy book. So these are some of the children posing with this book, and there were some children who were not that privileged to buy it, and I have literally given free to all of them. Gone to slums and given these books free. And finally, what we are here for, BioFootprints Award 2022. So we wanted some excellent scientists to come and apply for these awards, and the idea was to recognize them. Alexander Fleming Young Scientist Award, it was for scientists who were below a certain age. Marie Curie Women Excellence Award, of course, for women. And Albert Einstein Lifetime Achievement Award also we organized, but nobody applied. So I assume that seniors, maybe it'll take some more sensitization for seniors. And these are our awardees, and you're going to see 3 of them, and the 4th one has not been able to join. And I'm so happy to see them, and they've come with their families, and families are so important to do science. I remember Dorothy Hodgkin saying that, as you can see, 3 ladies over here. So that's, I often see big scientific posters in which I hardly see women presence. I see women only where you're talking about why aren't women crossing the glass ceiling, etc. type of topics. But I don't see them, their faces when we are talking about excellence in science. I'm so happy to see 3 women over here and their families. And as Dorothy Hodgkin had said, who's a Nobel laureate, that in order to do good science, woman needs to have the right husband, or should I extrapolate it and say good children, a good family. So thank you everyone, and this is the last slide. This is the AIMS team of BioFootprints, me, Naval Pradeep, Jia Namika, and this is my dad's favorite song, which I love too. Apne liye jiye to kya jiye, tu ji e dil zamane ke liye. And the idea is that we are not getting anything out of it. In fact, we are mostly spending our own money, our own time, and we are doing it just because we are passionate about this. बाजार से ज़माने के कुछ भी ना हम खरीदेंगे, हाँ बेचकर खुशी अपनी लोगों के गम खरीदेंगे, बुझते दिए जलाने के लिए, अपने लिए जिए तो क्या जिए, तू जी ए दिल ज़माने के लिए. Thank you very much.
So, not taking too much of time between you and the awards, as Professor Sujata has elaborated the purpose of this society, and I think one important line is that connecting science with society. That's the most important thing, because you see, as a clinician, when we deal with our patients, they are scared, and they don't have much idea about what problem they're having. And some people feel that if they throw good big terms or try to throw some scientific terms, then the patient will be impressed. It's the other way around. Patient gets more scared and doesn't know what has to be done, and because not many of them are aware about the scientific facts and the other things. So it's very important that science should be popularized to the society, and one needs to explain to everyone, including I'm talking about as a clinician, talk to the patients about and explain to them in a simple manner that what is the problem, what has to be done, and how it has to be done, and what's like going to be the outcome. That makes the person more comfortable, and especially if you're talking to a layperson about science, because that's what she said earlier, that science is not taught in the way it should be. I think it makes people run away from science. They feel it's something so hi-fi that we are not able to cope with it. It's not like that. It's the way you have to put it. And this is a platform where it's very our effort is to connect medical scientists with basic scientists, because the clinicians are always busy in their clinical work. They say we can't do any basic science, or we go down to the molecular level. On the other hand, basic scientists are always busy in the lab. So I think there has to be a platform where everybody comes to the same page, understand the problem, and that is the only way we are going to find solutions to the problems. And this COVID-19 has been this pandemic has shown that if both come together, what can be done in such a quick time. We have had so many vaccines and vaccines for the disease, and that is there because of both working together. And I think that is a very important, and one of the major effort of this society is to bring the clinicians as well as the basic scientists together, so that they can collaborate, they can know which person. A basic scientist can know that which clinician or which expert is working in this area, so there can be scope of collaborations, and that will help in getting the science forward. So with that, I welcome you once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful address. Now let's begin with the Marie Curie Excellence Award winner 2022. Now I would like to request Dr. Randeep Guleria sir to confer this award to Dr. Parul Kudan ma'am. Ma'am, please come forward. Dr. Parul Kudan is an assistant professor in the Department of Medicine, AIIMS, New Delhi. Her field of specialization is infectious diseases. During the COVID pandemic, she worked full-time in COVID ICU and wards. She also took this opportunity to be a part of several randomized controlled trials and studies to unfold the mystery of unknown virus. Some of the notable studies were done on plasma therapy, placid trials, COVID in immunosuppressant population, a study on breakthrough infections in Covaxin vaccinated individuals, which was published in Lancet Infectious Diseases, and case control study on COVID associated mucormycosis, amongst other. Thank you so much, ma'am. Our next awardee for Marie Curie Excellence Award is Dr. Yasmin Ahmad. Ma'am, please come forward. Dr. Yasmin Ahmad is working as scientist in peptide and proteomics division of DePass DRDO. Through her work on human physiological alterations and their molecular signatures, she has answered critical questions of high altitude physiology. Her scientific achievements include original research articles in journals like Blood, PLOS One, Life Sciences, Redox Biology, Apoptosis, and many more. She has received many prestigious awards like Dr. T.S. Vasundhara Memorial Award, Rear Admiral M.S. Malhotra Research Prize 2013, Outstanding Scientist in Analytical Chemistry, among other awards. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to call Jia Singh to announce the next award category.
Thank you, Anamika. Moving forward to our next category, that is Alexander Fleming Excellence Award. Now may I please invite Professor Gagan Dhawan to receive the award. Professor Gagan Dhawan is a professor in the Department of Biomedical Science in Acharya Narendra Dev College in the University of Delhi. His teaching and research interests spans medicinal chemistry, computational drug discovery, and nanomaterials. He has published his research in various reputed journals. He has received many prestigious awards like the Universitas 21 Fellowship, UGC Raman Award, Meritorious Teacher Award by the Directorate of Higher Education, Government of India, and INSA Teachers Award 2020 by the INSA. He is an elected fellow of Indian Chemical Society and Royal Society of Chemistry, London, UK. Thank you so much, sir. Our next awardee for Alexander Fleming Excellence Award category is Dr. Sonu Gandhi. As she is not here with us, but she has joined online, I like to read her citation. Dr. Sonu Gandhi is a scientist D at the National Institute of Animal Biotechnology, Hyderabad. Her work is mainly focused on biosensor development and theranostic application. She has received various awards such as DBT Biocare Women Scientist Award, SERB Early Career Research Award, SERB Women Excellence Award, and IKP Birak Award. She has been elected as Young Associate in INYAS and Women in STEM from Asian and Australian Academy of Sciences. She has published many path-breaking publications in high-impact journals, and her research work has been highlighted at various platforms in DBT, DST Serve, Nature, News India, and Current Science. We congratulate her for the award. Now may I please request Professor Randeep.
Can we also have Yasmin's family over? Imtiaz, please come. He is also professor in the Gautam Buddha University. I see their son also. So it would be a great moment. Beta, you can take your mask off. I think families are such a backbone for scientific work.
Thank you so much. Now may I please request Professor Randeep Guleria to please come and encourage all of us with his words. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. First of all, my congratulations to all the awardees, and I think it's an award that they really deserve. So my best wishes and congratulations, not only to them, but to their family itself. As was already mentioned, that it's sometimes the support of the family which is very important. Dr. Sujata Sharma, Dr. Naval, Dr. Pradeep, Dr. Bhatnagar, other members of BioFootprints, faculty colleagues, students, residents, ladies and gentlemen. At the onset, let me really congratulate the organizers and the thought process behind BioFootprints, because I think it's something very, very important as far as promoting science is concerned. It's rather paradoxical that science is not considered as something which should be popular now, because of the simple fact that whatever we are today as Homo sapiens is because of advancements in science. If you've risen up the ladder as far as the food chain is concerned, it's because of what has happened as humans or Homo sapiens in the area of science. It's our brain which has really been the motivating factor of us reaching where we are. I don't think we could say that we're stronger in terms of muscle strength as compared to many animals, if I may put it that way. But what evolved or what was part of evolution was that man was able to think, was able to develop new tools, whether it be stones, whether it be knives, whether it be bows and arrows at that point in time, which from being hunted, Homo sapiens became hunters. And then gradually they got sort of settled, from being a wandering group, started agriculture, settled down, and started looking at how they could use various animals as part of their domestic needs. And that really led to the growth of what we see today. So we've been through what is known as industrial revolution, which have really been driven by science in terms of making us where we are today. We've had the first industrial revolution, which looked at steam engines. We had the second industrial revolution, which had electricity coming in. The third, which we saw with electronics and computers. And now we have the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically looking at the cyberspace, combining virtual with actual reality and seeing how we can really move forward. And that is something that is actually happening at a much faster pace. So science today is moving faster than ever before. And it's affecting all parts of our life. If I was to tell the generation of today that when I was a student and I was studying in Chandigarh, PGI Chandigarh, I had to go and call up my parents. I would have to go to Sector 17, book a trunk call, wait for an hour, and then through a trunk call, through landline, talk to my parents after 2 or 3 hours. Today, students can't even imagine that such a time existed. We have FaceTime, they can talk across the globe through WhatsApp. But all of this happened in one generation because of science. If we look at what was the average lifespan of Indians at the time of independence, it was just 37 years. We've reached now to close to 70 years. So what has happened in 75 years is also because of science. Whether it be infection control practices, whether it be availability of vaccines, whether it be new drugs. None of this would have been possible if it was not because of science. So I think science and technology has changed the way we live today. For people who order food, it's very simple. You go to Swiggy or you go to any other platform, you can select your food, you can even decide whether you want something extra or not. That was not possible initially. The best you could do was ring up the restaurant and place an order and ask him to send the menu with the order, and then you would go through the menu and place. That was not very long ago. So things have changed so dramatically. And it gave a further push because of the pandemic. Education changed dramatically. We started using webinars and we started having virtual lectures. Healthcare changed dramatically. From physical, we started having telemedicine. And science really became very important in trying to develop strategies to control the pandemic. Whether it be looking at non-pharmacological methods like wearing a mask, physical distancing, hand washing, or trying to develop new drugs at pandemic speed. We started off with hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, remdesivir, steroids. So all of this is part of science and research. And all of this was something that everyone realized how important it was and was involved, even if it was the layman. People knew about hydroxychloroquine, thanks to Trump, I may put it that way, if you want. But there were so many things that people realized as far as science was concerned because of the pandemic. And then, of course, the whole push for vaccination. Vaccinations would take a decade to develop. But because of collaboration, because of scientists getting together, we had not one but so many vaccines for only one virus. So we had just one virus, but we have almost 8 to 10 vaccines or more than that using different platforms. Again, the advancement that science has made. So science has become part of our life. And therefore, like I said, it seems paradoxical that science is not popular. It's, I think, the fact that was mentioned that we've sort of compartmentalized it and made it look something very elitist, whereas it's something which is in day-to-day practice. We think about science, we work about science in our day-to-day activities. And I think if we are able to pass that message on to the general public, that science is nothing but what you are doing daily and how it is changing your life, I think science will automatically become popular. But it's very important that we get people to get involved in science. As was mentioned, people now are moving in from science, away from science into other career opportunities because it's a long career, it's a hard career, and it's something which requires a lot of commitment. But I'd also say it's a very sort of satisfying career and something that one really enjoys. So it's not only a career, it's a passion. If one is a scientist, whether it's clinically or it's a non-clinical subject or it's doing science which may not be related to medicine, all of it needs passion, it needs that commitment. And many of you who have got award today realize that you have to sacrifice a lot of your own family time to really be involved in science. But all of us do that voluntarily because of the passion that we have, the love for what we're doing. And I think that is what science is all about. So if we can convince people that, science is a passion, if you get into it, it's like a nasha, you'll be not wanting to leave it. And that is what makes science what it is today. If you look at all the scientists, and we've had awards on their name, Alexander Fleming for his work on penicillin, Marie Curie for her remarkable work and she's got no Nobel prizes for her work on radiation. All of them worked with passion. All of them really were involved in what they were doing. That is the spirit that we need to really revive among the general public today, because that will really not only take the world but our country to a new level. The involvement in science and the involvement in doing research with passion. So I think I would just like to stop here, but congratulate Professor Sujata Sharma and her team for coming up with this idea and pushing it forward and doing all these activities. I would just say that continue with it, and I'm sure this organization and this will grow and become bigger and bigger with time. Congratulations and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind and motivating words. We really feel privileged to have you guidance for the biofootprints. Now, I request Professor Sonika Bhatnagar ma'am, Vice President of Biofootprint, to propose vote of thanks.
So in the past few years, we have seen biofootprints first take baby steps and then bigger strides. And that's mostly been because of Sujata's persistent efforts, and also because Dr. Randeep Guleria has encouraged us all this time, for which we really want to thank both of them, that they have kept the tempo going. Really, I want to thank you for taking out all your valuable time being present here today. I also want to thank the awardees for sharing their valuable research with us, for giving their lectures, which were very, very interesting talks. Most of them are I attended, and some I watched on YouTube online. It's very nice of you to come and be present here today. The Biofootprints team, the Dr. Pradeep, Dr. Sanket, Anamika, Jia, Dr. Naval, who are always very, very supportive. And most of all, the entire membership of Biofootprints, some of them have joined us online. I would like to thank them all. And lastly, I would also like to thank SET Facility AIMS, because they've been very, very helpful and cooperative with us for this particular function. Thank you.
We can go for tea.
Yeah.